This is part 2 of the elaboration. You should already have done elaboration lesson part 1. So for part 2, you're going to need a few things. The first thing is a transitions list. That's like a full page list that has boxes. There's a lot of transitions on here. The second thing is a sample essay, which I copied on the back, but if you're printing it off yourself, it's a sample essay that says structurally sound, blah, 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 page 161. And then you really need to find the notes you already completed, because what we're going to do is try to analyze the essays for transitions and then types of elaboration, the C, A, G, and E. So gather all those things, pause till you have it, and rejoin us when you have everything. Okay, so this is the transitions list you should have. And maybe you have a different one in your notes already, but this is just kind of a really big list. So we're going to make sure you know what you're doing. Follow directions. You're going to write elaboration part 2 at the top, just so we all know what's going on. All transitions are words that show you someone's thought process. They're showing you organization. So here's some like options if you're wondering how you could do it. It says transitional chain. These show time. These show sequence, which would be like this, then this, then this. Comparison means how things are the same. Contrast means how things are different. And like honestly, if I write it, you write it. To show an example, I want you to put a star because these are ones you're definitely going to use for types of elaboration. And then to signal a conclusion, you would put at the end. You could say the end of a paragraph or the end of an essay. Probably not the beginning. So this is a super great resource for things to look for in your own writing as well as in other people's writing. Transitions should be used pretty much every sentence. If not every sentence, then almost every sentence. It should have like a natural flow when you use them. So on the back is an essay. And what we're going to do, and mine bled through so I'll get a different one, is we're going to look for several things in this essay. Hang on one second. Okay, so at the top of your essay, let's make a little key. This is what we're going to be looking for. And I'm not saying this is like a perfect essay. We're just going to analyze it for some elaboration. So we're going to circle transitions anytime we see them. So I'm literally just going to circle transitions. And then you're going to label every sentence with a T if it's a topic sentence. This would be like at the beginnings of paragraphs. Or a C, A, G, or E if it's clarification, anecdote or story, a general example, and an experience. Experiences and anecdotes can be pretty similar, so it's okay if you aren't sure. Just remember, anecdotes are kind of like a story. So every sentence. We're going to work through the first 3 paragraphs together and the last paragraph, and then this paragraph right here that starts with the word finally is the grade, and that's what you're going to come talk to your teacher about. So here we go. My grandmother was a very special person. She was special for at least 3 reasons. First, she always put her family before herself. Also, she helped other people who were in need. In addition to this, she was the best cook in the whole family. So this right here, my grandmother is a very special person, is a topic sentence. She was special for at least 3 reasons is kind of none of the above. First, this is a transition. She always put her family before herself. What is this? Is this an example? Is this an anecdote? Is this an experience? And I'm going to call this an example. Also is a transition. She helped other people who were in need. That's another example. In addition to this is a transition. She was the best cook in the whole country. So right now in our intro, we already have 3 examples. To begin with, transition, my grandmother always put herself last and her family first. This whole thing right here is a topic sentence. So that means that everything in this paragraph has to be about her putting herself last and her family first. By this I mean, this is your transition, that she made sure her family was fed, bathed, and tucked into bed before she took time to do something she liked to do for pleasure. So what is this whole thing right here? And if it says by this I mean, you're kind of telling me what that was, and that's a clarification. For example, one night when I was staying with my grandmother, she was not feeling well, but she still helped me with my homework before she lay down to rest. What's this whole thing right here? For example, she did this. That would be a general example. And I'm sorry, I've labeled these with E's. They need to be general examples. Another time is a transition. My grandmother stayed up most of the night with me because I thought I heard a prowler outside. Another time my grandmother stayed up most of the night because I thought I heard a prowler outside could be a general example, or it could be just a personal experience. So I'm going to write like personal experience right there. If this were going to be a really solid paragraph, then you'd want to maybe expand that with an anecdote and then have a wrap-up sentence. But we're just labeling what's there. Next paragraph, in addition, should be circled because it's a transition. Grandmother was always helped other people who were in need. This is your topic sentence. So this whole paragraph needs to be about people in need being helped. In other words, that's a transition. She was willing to assist people who were poor or had a tragedy in their lives. This is just clarification. Notice it doesn't really give you very many specifics. It's just restating what you said. For instance, transition, when a family across town lost their home to a fire, my grandmother collected clothes for the children and their parents. So what is this? For instance, is this a general example? Is this a personal experience? Is this an anecdote? I think it's just an example, so we'll say a general example. Every year on the day before Thanksgiving, she helped to cook a big meal for the homeless people in her town. There's no transition right here, so every year she did that. What do you think that is? Every year she helped to cook a big meal. Is this an example or an experience? And I think because you're just giving one more example, we'll call it a general example. G is the type. Skip down to the conclusion right here. My grandmother was a very special person is kind of our topic or thesis. I will always remember her because she put herself last, she helped those who were in need, and she was the best cook in her country. This whole thing right here is just a restated thesis. And again, this is maybe not the greatest ending of an essay ever, but notice that we're not really giving new examples. We're not doing new examples in your conclusion. You're just kind of wrapping up everything you said. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to go through this paragraph and try to label each type. Each transition, circle it. Each type of sentence, label it, and then come see your teacher. So I can't really tell you more until you come talk to your teacher, but you want to get this checked. And maybe you have a disagreement about what type of transition it is, or what type of elaboration it is. Okay, talk about it, but you should be able to find some elaboration and then transitions. So that's what your grade is based on for part 2, is show completed analysis of this essay and find out the types of elaboration for this paragraph. And then part 3, you're going to start making your own. So don't sweat. We'll walk you through it. But the more personal examples and stories you use, the better it is. So let's find theirs, and then we'll try to make our own.